Hello, guys. Welcome to the live series of AWS UG community. So, as part of the series, today we are going to interact with a few people from Singapore community. So, today Lynn and Badri would be joining us, where they would be sharing their insights about how they are running the community of Singapore. Recently, they also conducted a fantastic AWS Community Day of Singapore on 26th or 28th of Feb. So it was a massive event that they have already conducted. So I'm sure that you would love having this guest onto this live series where they would be sharing their experiences about community, how they are working as part of it. So without wasting much time, let me go ahead, introduce them, and get them onboarded to talk with us. So here we go. Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Hello.
Hey,
Hi.
Yeah. So,
thanks for
thank
having me here, Chef.
Yeah. So thank
Yes.
you for joining this AWS UG community series. So love to have you people onboarded on this specific series. So, as part of this series, I think I have already introduced you what exactly you are doing. You are working as a UG lead, and so let's go ahead and get started with the introduction of one another. So I would start going ahead with Badri. So Badri, I would request you to please share your personal and professional background and how you became part of AWS community local user group. So over to you, Badri.
Definitely it is. First of all, yes, thanks from a Singapore user group for having us here, right? Just making sure if you can hear me properly, there is no noise in my background, yeah?
Yeah, there is a voice
Beautiful
of
noise.
some
Oh, I see. I hope it's tolerable.
it's too high. But anyways, if by any chance, uh, yes, we can go ahead, Badri.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, sure. So yes, basically I'm primarily, I'm based out of Singapore, right? So I serve as a development lead and cloud architect in one of the banking and financial services here in Singapore. Talking about AWS Singapore user group in specific, it's quite a long journey, I would say. Since I guess 2018, I'm actively involved in this, actively involved in this user group Singapore as a member. Right, me primarily participating in all these events, benefiting out of this peer-to-peer learning itself, right? And there come like the COVID strike, right? The COVID strike, and Steve was basically expecting him a baby, and he was also blessed with a baby child. And there comes a situation like where I volunteer, to organize these meetups, right? And then that naturally happened like because me primarily being part of this user group since 2017, I benefited a lot out of it, with this peer-to-peer learning, and I felt basically it's my time to be back more, in the time of need itself, right? To continue this journey in facilitating this peer-to-peer learning itself. And since 2021, I would say I was actively involved in organizing this meetups regularly. So since COVID, like I started organizing this meetup in a very um, virtual manner. We now back to a very normal in person, uh, in person sort of an event itself, right? So since 2021, I was actively involved in organizing these regular meetups, and yeah, and the journey still continues. So we successfully passed COVID, and we transitioned from on a virtual event into the in-person event. And they had also successfully organized a full-blown community conference, namely the Community Day Singapore itself. And yes, the pleasant journey still continues. Yeah, that's basically the journey of myself. You know, sticking around with this AWS user group Singapore itself. Yeah.
Thank you, Badri, for the brief introduction. Really appreciate that. So moving on to Lynn. So Lynn, over to you. So share us your personal and professional experience and how you became the part of community and how you became the lead of this specific community. By the way, you are speaking on mute.
Oops, hello. Okay. Yeah, so kind of share some background. So I recently graduated 2 years ago. And I think during in my university days, I was very active in different communities. So I was part of a tech and innovation community. So through there, I participated in lots of hackathons, pitching challenges, attended like tech conferences, and also the opportunity to meet and collaborate with different communities and companies. So I think that kind of like led up to um, two big takeaways from my university days. So one is definitely how I was drawn to the dynamic nature of the tech community, and also how it fosters continuous innovation and collaboration. And I think the second part is definitely I discovered my passion in community building. So yeah, and upon graduating, I was very fortunate to land a role in performance marketing. So yeah, so through till then, even though I have my full-time job in performance marketing, but I still really love community building. So I actively engage myself in different events. So I chanced upon AWS, one of the AWS meetups last year in December. And when I joined the event, I think my first impression was, wow, like I freaking love it. Like I get to see I mean, then again, it was kind of after COVID in Singapore. So we had in person meetups again. Yeah. So I just love how the community are really deeply connected, and also people are very supportive of each other's projects, and also like Badri mentioned, like peer-to-peer learning. And then on, I volunteered to help out for the AWS Community Day. So I was supporting on like their marketing end. And yeah, so thereafter I kind of like badgered Badri and Steve like, hey, I wish to help out more. So that's how like I kind of get started in the AWS community, and it's still a continuous journey. Yeah.
So that's great. Thank you for sharing, Lynn. So that is a very beautiful journey of your community, getting interactive with the community and taking it forward. So my next question to you would be that when you guys are actually conducting events, organizing events or meetups, so what exactly is the community theme that you think of that you should take forward, and what factors you consider as part of the meetup that you are going to organize? So for example, suppose last month we have organized one meetup, so our theme was about containers. So that is one example, right? So how is your planning when you guys organize? What kind of factors you consider based on the audience that you have as part of your user group?
Should I start or Lynn?
So that question is for Lynn.
Oh,
Okay,
my question.
sure, yeah.
Oops. Okay. I think maybe from a marketing POV. Uh oh, I'm sorry, can you repeat your question again?
Yes, definitely. So
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, whenever we are organizing a meetup event
Mm,
or a community event, so
mm,
at that time we consider some factors that based on which we consider the theme for the event. So, for example, next month I am focusing on conducting an event. It is going to be about containers. So,
mm,
containers means it is going to have tech talks about Amazon ECS, sorry, AWS ECS, AWS EKS, and different services which collaborate as part of this containerization process, which results into microservices architecture and all. So that
mm,
is one theme example I gave you. So the
mm.
same way, when you guys are organizing, what kind of themes you come up with, and what are the considerations that you take based on the audience that you serve as part of the meetup group?
Got it, got it. So maybe I just share based on my experiences so far. So I think based on like my past meetup, how um we usually get speakers is based on like the past meetup, and if we see that if our members are keen to share different use cases, then we definitely get them on board to see how they would like to share. um yeah, I mean, because I'm also pretty new to this community, so maybe Badri can like deep dive more on how the past meetup was conducted. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, Badri,
Yeah,
over.
yeah, certainly yes. Since Lynn is new to this, community, perhaps I think I can share a bit more on top of what Lynn have shared just now. So Biraj, actually, basically, we decide the contents for our meetups primarily through a seasonized submission itself. But looking at the specific theme of what we intend to organize for any upcoming meetups, basically with the surveys or with the feedback what we have digested, with the profile of audience, who comes out to this who comes out of the Singapore user group in a regular manner itself. You can see their interest. It's very broad. There are certain folks who are very interested in knowing the containers. That are interested in knowing the DevOps related stuff, and some of them are interested in knowing the very enterprise related use cases. So considering the fact that the nature of Singapore user group itself is very broad in terms of the audience what we are visiting, and this is something which is very consistent for with whatever the events what we are organizing through the AWS Singapore user group itself. So we so far our conscious decision is to not to stick to any theme, but to have a diversified contents, with the equal contribution towards various specializations, can be namely containers, DevOps, or machine learning whatsoever, and we take a turns for each of the upcoming events in regularly rotating those contents and providing an you know um, um, appropriate concentration into each of the specialization for each of the meetups itself. So for each of the meetup, we have three talks, and the three talks itself is not very concentrated towards one specific topic, but rather it is constantly round robining towards various specializations, and then gets distributed into the upcoming events itself. So we basically what we do is like we chat we encourage all of our audience to submit to present the talk, because basically the whole idea is uh, to facilitate this peer-to-peer learning to with the folks who are coming regularly to the meetup. So yeah, and basically we get to take their interest, and we ask them to submit their proposals through Sessionize, and we have a regular catch up internally with the core community members. It's Lynn, Steve, Pamo, Paul very recently, and including myself. So we have a regular catch up. We schedule in a bi-weekly manner, and there we decide on the contents. What is getting submitted into this nice tool. And based on each of our opinions, with the various specialization what we have, and ensuring it is not repeating between each of the meters. That is how we basically go about selecting the specific topics what goes into the meetup itself. Yeah. Also thinking about so if you look at it like it's sort of a quite monotonous in a nature, in a way that it's regularly a talk only meetups, but now we are looking at scaling this meetup into another level, namely organizing the workshops itself, which is something what we are deliberating at this point of time, and to have a mix of contents, to getting the audience to experience both the hands-on and to provide enough room for the new learners to participate in the hands-on exercise by way of continuing the workshop, and with a different set of with a different set of users participating in the talks itself. Yeah, and this is how we are looking at scaling up from a monotonous talk-only events into the workshop to provide a diverse content to different nature of audiences. So yeah.
Yes, that's a brief answer. Thank you for that. Uh, Badri, in terms of collaboration, nowadays what I have seen a trend that people are collaborating with different communities in terms to bring more value to the audience that are coming in to learn something new. So, for example, nowadays everywhere different communities like CNCF, you can say Kubernetes communities we have. So is there any kind of collaboration that you guys do to bring in more value to the table for the audience who are looking to learn something new by collaborating with different UGs or different groups, technical groups?
Yeah, actually, in a way that we of course collaborate with the different user groups, but primarily into the AWS user groups, into other in the other regions, trying to learn from their experience in terms of organizing our events itself. One specific event is basically this community day itself, like where we get a lot of good learnings from other communities in terms of organizing this meetups itself. But in terms of the other collaborations, there is like namely the Kubernetes learning, Kubernetes user group, or any other specialization user group. We don't do at this point of time, but in a way that primarily this specific event is, this specific event or this specific theme is focusing purely around the AWS, with the specialization basically goes into the Kubernetes. But for where such specialization required, we are open to taking the speakers, including from the Kubernetes user group or from any other user group, right? To get in the speakers to deliver the talk on the specialization that is needed. But in terms of the collaboration, I would say we collaborate with other user groups who are primarily around AWS in terms of getting to learn from their experience, and in terms of putting forward our events itself. So yeah, I guess if that answers your questions itself.
Yes, why actually I asked it. So I do
Yeah.
understand that different user groups might be having different agendas. So if I take
Yes.
example of Kubernetes, so what thought process usually I follow personally, that even though we are collaborating, if they are more onto Kubernetes side, then they can speak on EKS. We
Hmm,
have
hmm, hmm.
service on Kubernetes. If they are more onto Docker side, then they can speak on ECS.
Exactly. Yeah.
More
Yeah.
RDF side. So that's how I thought. Is there any collaboration that you?
Yeah. It's not a collaboration per se, but we definitely we look forward for the speakers, from the various specializations, including Kubernetes, who deliver their talk in the Kubernetes user group itself. We are open to getting the speakers to provide a value add to this community in terms of delivering the required specialization, and in terms of the related talks itself for the specific the meetup groups. Yeah.
So why don't you guys share about the latest event uh, that has been conducted? That is Community Day event. Uh,
Sure. Are you looking at the community day or any recent meetups
Community
itself?
Day I'm talking about, AWS Community Day of Singapore. So would you like to share how exactly the experience was? So I saw there was a massive response to the event.
Yeah,
Honestly speaking, I was also planning to come, but because of some medical issue, I canceled my ticket. Otherwise, I would have met you over there
I
definitely.
see. Next
So my
time, next time, definitely then.
Yeah, my plan was to come with Sandeep Das. So
Oh, I see.
we booked tickets together. Unfortunately, he was not able
I
to make.
see. That's
So I
unfortunate.
want to
Yeah,
share
yeah,
some insights about that fantastic event, because I have seen a lot of posts going viral for that event that has been conducted. That is Community Day of Singapore.
yeah. Then you want to go first or me?
Oh, maybe I can share. So I
Sure.
think yeah, so I just love, like I say, like how the community is very wholesome. Like you get to see people, I mean, people from different walks of life, different status coming together, and it's really regardless of their status. They just come and just share, and also to be able to connect, like seeing our community members coming together in person to connect. And I think it's very, very heartwarming to see that happen, like for our first community day. Yes, so that was at least on my end, my experience. Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, it is a very, very fantastic experience, Kiraj. Perhaps organizing a full-blown community conference without a support from, without a dedicated support from an enterprise, it's basically a sort of a wholesome challenge. Yeah, wholesome challenge, put out into proper planning, and that is something what you do on top of your regular, the day work. It's a challenge on its own. Yeah. But I think in a way that it's not, even which made possible with all the volunteers, right? All the selfless volunteers who commit their time, to materialize this event itself, right? So at this point of time, the contribution from Steve specifically, right? Steve was the main organizer for this Community Day Singapore, the recent Community Day Singapore 2022. Yeah, the sort of commitment from Steve and including from other community leads, specifically, Lynn, Pamu. Well, it's a sort of double the work what we're doing, for them, and we have not spent much of a time in terms of our planning itself, right? So we thought about it on November last year, and we materialized this event. We materialized the event, and early January, yeah, so in January. So it is not like we have about 6 months or 1 year of time to take our enough breathing space to organize such full-blown community conference, but it's a matter of 2 months itself. So look, definitely wholesome experience in terms of in terms of um, venue booking, printing out the t-shirts, all the lanyards, meeting out with the building facilities, and getting the on volunteers on board. Yeah.
What about
So you're saying
sponsor?
something?
You missed that.
Yeah, exactly. Sponsors. Yes. True. 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 Actually, it's a very definite learning experience, and perhaps it is also very heartening to me with what we can do as a volunteer, right? So what we can do as a volunteer, perhaps it is also a sort of an event which gave us an exposure to whole lot of different volunteers, right? Not specific to this AWS community, but there are volunteers who joined us from even the competitor of AWS, maybe the GCC. I think so Lynn was one of the Lynn was one of the volunteers, such volunteer, right? So she was
Yes.
primarily involved in organizing this Google-related community events. Likewise, Papadita. But you can see the sort of motivation what these folks have, in terms of organizing such volunteer-driven events, regardless of the technology. What is in the topic here itself, right? So perhaps it also gives a further confidence. It also gave us a further confidence to organize such similar events in the future itself, right? Because with all the learnings what we had, and with all the power of the volunteers, with their selfless contribution, it also gave us a very renewed confidence in terms of organizing such events, in the near future itself, right? And of course, we also had a very good support from AWS, specifically with their developer relations team, namely Serena, Shafrash, Downey. They also helped us a lot, in terms of their experience in organizing such, their community conference, what they do for AWS specifically, in organizing a summit, in Singapore or any other region itself. So that learning has also helped us a lot. And we're also blessed with the interest from the speakers itself, right? Um, Almost 50% of the speakers who have we received for the community submissions. Interestingly, everyone from 50% of the speakers are from international speakers itself, right? So they spend their own money to travel to attend this event to deliver a talk. Well, it's also sort of a mind blown itself, right? So it is a very learning experience for me. It is also a very eye opener in terms of organizing such events, and also to understand the commitments what we have from various different volunteering groups, and also the commitments what the international speakers, they are coming out of their own motivation, with their own money, to participate in such events, to deliver a talk. Well, it's a whole lot of learning experience, and a whole lot of very different experience in organizing such fantastic community dates of Dheeraj. Yeah.
Yes, it's a very hectic task when you have
Yes,
to work along with your work life, because that is
exactly.
exactly uh, a person is getting paid for. So you have to manage your professional life, family life, and upon that you have to do this. So it's
Exactly.
multitasking. So the kind of audience that you cater in terms of your meetups and community events. So what is the ratio of students compared to the professional? So are professional more or students are more inclined towards learning about AWS?
I see. Yeah, maybe I can add on. Feel free to add on as well. Yeah. So actually, Singapore is a very unique demography, I would say. Yes, So a lot of people who participate on this, in this regular meetups are more of a professional developers, right? And it is also very natural to what Singapore positions itself, right, in terms of various different enterprises having their headquarters here with the various different with the various different expats from different countries coming here for work. So much of the audience, what we see in a regular meetup is more of a professional, developers and the audience joining from a professional capacity, so right, from the enterprises, I would say, or from a different organizations, and from especially the universities or students sort of an profile. It's very minimal, very minimal grants, I would say, like less than 5% for each of our events what we are organizing in the regular manner. I guess now we are starting to see some of the new faces, especially from the universities. But again, in terms of the proportional, I would say it is less than 10%, less than 5%, in our regular meters, and much of a professional audience coming in from the enterprises and different organizations. So,
Lynn, you want to add anything
yeah.
to?
Yes, so I think maybe sharing from I mean, as a recent graduate, I think I myself and my peers from computer science, like my friends who majored in computer science, we do not hear as much of AWS compared to like GCP during our university days. Yeah, so I guess maybe like speaking about competitor GCP, they really like drew down on, focusing on like the student exposure. But I do understand that AWS, they positioned themselves, they have a different like positioning. So that's why like students might not have as much exposure. But I think based on my experience, joining AWS as a volunteer for Community Day, I actively shared when I was helping on the marketing end, I was sharing a lot of these like marketing blasts through different Telegram community chats that has all of my juniors, alumni, and also getting them to be a part of like community day. Yeah, so that is how I try to kind of like get my juniors to like, hey, AWS having a meetup, come and join. It's gonna be fun. There's so much learning. Yeah, so yeah, that kind of summarizes up.
So, Badri, while you guys are doing meetups or something, isn't there any time when you guys have visited some university or college to provide some basic workshop of getting started with AWS or something, this kinds of initiative?
Not yet, Dheeraj, not yet. Yeah. Very much, they are very much, sort of an entity who are now catering for the professional audience per se, but not at this point of time. We have not gone to any universities so far, in organizing workshop or any other events yet. Yeah.
Okay, because honestly speaking, in India, it's actually common, very
Yeah.
common
Understand.
case because usually
Understand.
what happens. So, for example, some colleges like symbiosis and big
Okay.
colleges, they themselves come forward because the students crowds are actually in meetups. You would say 50%.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
wow. Nice.
that is the kind of interest that they have, and so when they join their, I would say, the management team of college itself, they invite you requesting to provide a workshop so that people who are not going towards the meetup, they might get some interest and they might get exposure towards cloud computing. So that is how. So honestly speaking, instead of us reaching them, I would say the colleges are reaching by
Reaching
themselves
you. Okay.
for collaborations.
Right. That's interesting. That's interesting. Actually, to be honest, like we also started discussing like to see how we can reach out to other other nature of audiences itself. So far us, with much of the professional audience who are participating in the meetup, we started discussing to see like what other avenues we can make use of it to reach out to the different audience, right? Namely from the university students itself. But yes, it's a discussion in progress. I hope, like yeah, definitely. we'll see what we can learn from you to facilitate such learning itself, right? Yeah.
Okay. So, Lynn, you were saying that too much of exposure is from GCP side. Not heard much about AWS, but as per my understanding, Badri, correct if I'm wrong. So there are also some programs from AWS which is actually, uh, happening in Singapore, like Educate, or you can say that now the new Cloud Club program for cloud captains for colleges,
Yeah.
that is also in full-fledged manner getting implemented over there. So not sure whether you heard of it, Lynn, but yes, I know that they are actually focusing a lot in terms of going towards students by Educate program or by Cloud Club Captains program. So maybe uh, some specific colleges they have not yet reached where Lynn belongs to, but I was surprised to hear that AWS programs are not that well versed in the
Um, I think like I agree. It depends on which university you come from. So from my university, it's basically like a part. How do I say? I'm from SIM. So what SIM do is we have different partner universities. So we have different groups of students coming from different universities. So I guess like there is no, how do I say, generalized like push of like, I mean there's definitely push in tech, but even in terms of like the specific like AWS, GCP, all those like information is us students having to go to regular like networking events to find out more and bring this information back to school. And it's how like the university operates. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Because,
and
like you mentioned, Rich, I think the Cloud Club, specifically what you just mentioned, right? I think all these events are like very recent, and this has a very high emphasis towards targeting the university students in specific. I guess it's just a matter of time where we will be starting to see,
Mm.
the benefits of such programs, because they're just getting started now, and I hope we'll be seeing the benefits of it in a near time. So, Kirch, you're in mute.
sorry, before Cloud Clubs, there was Cloud Captains also. Have you ever heard of it?
No,
So
not
it
yet.
is kind of
No.
a new, I would say, same concept, but there
Oh, I
was
see.
already Cloud Captains who were doing events for
Okay.
AWS on the college levels.
Not
So.
that I'm aware of. Maybe I'm not sure if that's specific to India.
Mhm.
But Cloud Club, yes, for sure. We have the program here in Singapore itself. Yeah, but I'm not sure on the specifics in terms of which university is part of.
Mm.
But I know that program is just started. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Because I actually also hosted a live
Oh, nice.
uh, talk show with the AWS advocate,
Oh,
students
nice.
advocate. So over
Okay.
there, he was giving all this information that what exactly this program is and how it is focusing towards the students community.
Oh, nice.
Because
Okay.
nowadays, for them, most of them are for them they are trying to land up in AWS UG, which
Mm.
is kind of, as you said, it's more professional centric. So
Yeah.
ideally,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you're having more professional crowd, then your talk would be 200 and 300 level talk, right? And how come they will understand? So for them,
True.
it should be getting started with AWS or
True.
some concepts. So
True.
maybe that is the area that they are focusing on, where when students are organizing, they would go to that base level of 100 and provide that insights so that people might get more interest into this tech.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. Actually, it is also one of the thought process where we started to think of organizing the workshop, which we have not materialized so far, but we are planning to materialize in a very due time, hopefully by June. So these workshops are going to be targeted with a very introductory level content, providing them the exposure towards the foundation of AWS services, including getting the hands-on exercises, getting their hands dirty into the CLIs, border trees, and
Mhm.
exposing them with the hands-on exercise with the core foundation of AWS services and the introductory level workshop, which we are hoping to target to bring in a value to such audience. That is one of the avenue what we are thinking of at this point of time from the user group capacity, not with the cloud clubs, but the user group capacity to target such audiences. Yeah.
That's also good idea. So you are going to you are planning to do it online or with collaboration with universities or uh, for that for these basic things that you're talking about.
Yeah. So it is not going to be a collaboration.
Okay.
It is going to be from the AWS User Group Singapore, and it will
Okay.
be an in-person event itself. So
In
what?
person.
Yeah. The planning is in full progress. The thought process, what we are basically having is like to have two category of events happening at the same time with a
Hmm.
particular meetup, one with the talk and one with the this hands-on workshop. Yeah.
Workshops.
Yeah.
So workshops are a bit difficult, not that
Yes.
as per my experience,
Yes.
because
Yes.
many a times you encounter some people, even though you give emailer requesting them to create a AWS account, have that basic things at place. But I have seen when we go to workshops, people say, "Sir, I have not yet created the account." So and if you say and if you see that number, so from 100, if that number is 80, then your 5 hours work from your 5 hours workshop, 2 hours would go over there only to get that setup.
Exactly. Yes. Like you mentioned, like we are also thinking of how we can solve such frictions, to make use of the best use of the time of whatever the 2 hours what we're going to spend in the spend in the event, focusing on this value in learning the content, but not to solve the primitive problems. This is also one of the considerations what we have in our mind to reduce the friction as much as possible, make the best use of time, the 2 hours what we're going to spend fully on the workshop itself. And well, one such thought process towards having the event engine from AWS, which provisions the AWS accounts on demand without the needing for you signing up all those spaces, right? It is sort of a discussion what is going on, with our AWS counterparts to see like how we can reduce such frictions to make the best use of time with whatever the 2 hours what we are spending fully on the workshop itself, but not to solve this, you know, this first world issues, right?
Yeah. So, what idea we came up with? What we were thinking that in this case, what we can do that suppose our event is on Saturday, next Saturday. So we can have a virtual call 2 days before or 3 days before, where we will only talk about getting up setting up the things for the workshop. So that is one thing, to go virtually live. And other idea that came up to my mind, because of the issue that I faced, is if you are not able to go live because of your office priorities or something, then you can share a recorded session onto your page, where we can keep on hammering again and again for 2 3 days that please have this basic setup, so that on workshop day we can directly get started and utilize all that 5 hours for the focused area that we want to share with the audience. So that is one thing I thought of. So for next workshop, that is what's the plan is.
Good idea.
So that is what I'm thinking. So, guys, any shout outs that you want to give to the volunteers or your other leads who have actually made this community successful and kept it on track by regularly arranging meetups on the monthly basis, sharing the knowledge, allowing people to come from volunteers and become a organizer, UG leads. So, in terms of mentoring and in terms of contributing to community. So over to both of you. So you can provide a shout out to whatever people you want to who have mentored you or who have helped you in any ways.
Yeah, probably I'll start and pass it over to Lynn. Yeah, first of all, um, you know, um, first thanks to basically Steve, right? Even before us joining, like he was the one who was solely, leading this community, and without without having much of a support in, with the additional capacity, so right, and that sort of a commitment is much appreciated, right? Yeah, first, very big thanks to Steve, and of course my fellow co-organizers like Lynn and Pamu, Paul, and also like very a few shout out again to our volunteers, right? So very fortunate to have very fortunate and blessed to have a good volunteers. Without their support and organizing an event like community day or even the regular meetups won't be even possible, right? So there are a whole lot of volunteers. I have tried. I need another 1 hour to spell out the names, just in the interest of time. So a whole lot of thanks to all the volunteers who are helping out helping out very actively, in organizing this various different events under the AWS user group Singapore itself, right? And also final thanks to our AWS counterparts for regular events like the regular monthly meetups, the logistics support in terms of providing us with the venues and providing an appropriate support from an AWS side, specifically Serena, specifically Shafras and Donnie, Donnie as well. In helping us in organizing the event and working together with us in a very like another colleagues, right? Like another colleagues part of this community in keeping this community active for so long, right? Yeah, I guess that's without all their support, this event under this AWS user group Singapore definitely not possible, and any further scalability is also not possible in terms of organizing workshop or reaching out to different audience or even another community team, right? So without all their commitments, without all their support, this is definitely possible and not possible. And my sincere thanks to all of the volunteers, my co-organizer, and the AWS counterparts to help us facilitate these events in an ongoing manner. So yeah.
Okay, so on my end, I mean, Badri has basically said most of what I want to say, but I also do want to really thank Steve and Badri for giving me the opportunity to join like the community group, and also I'm very grateful because of the transparency in terms of expectations, and also very supportive of like the ideas that I have, and also listening to basically the ideas I have, and also giving me advice because I'm still new to the community, right? So apart from them, my co-organizers as well, and also a deep thanks to like whoever who turn up to our events every month. I'm always seeing familiar faces. Yeah, a huge shout out to you guys. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. So, guys, thank you so much for joining this call, taking out your time on Sunday. That is a family day, I would say. Usually, we consider that as a family day. So, thank you so much for taking out your time. And trust me, it was a very good experience. Uh, Before viewers, I would say my experience, it was very good experience for me actually, interacting with you guys, understanding that how exactly you guys are focusing towards the meetups that you are arranging,
Yeah.
and what is the focus area, what are the new plans that you have. So always something new to learn. So maybe I also shared some insight that might help you. So that is what community is, right? We have to
Yeah.
learn from each other. And today I learned a lot of things, that how you guys are actually managing things along with your personal and professional life. So thank you so much for attending this live talk. It's
Yeah.
great having you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dinesh. Thank you, Dinesh, for having us here, right? Much of the questions what you have raised in this, in this live call, it is a sort of a refreshing my memory, right? And it's a good experience. Thanks for bringing back all the memories, and it is also the time where I could manage to convey all the gratitude, to all the counterparts, and a very good experience, and we are definitely looking forward to see you in Singapore in the upcoming community days, and wish you all the best, and wish all the best to the AWS user group Pune. So yeah.
Yeah, and I hope whenever you guys visit to, you have your plans coming towards India or Pune, just let me know beforehand. So if there is any event or we are planning something, so we will plan accordingly. So we would have that opportunity so that you can meet with our audience that we cater as part of the local community group. And I'm sure they would love to have you guys interact with you and network with you for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Dinesh. It's
Okay
a
then.
pleasure. Yeah,
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
Thank you, Lynn, and thank you, Badri. Have a
you
great
too.
day. Bye for
You
now.
too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.